Welcome back to the Fagatory. I'm your host, the scientist that works here, and I am a bit handicapped right now, as you can probably hear. If you can see behind you, that's my computer. It decided to crap out over the course of the month, and that's unfortunate. But I still wanted to crank out a video for Halloween, so here we are. A little update on the 31-day list, if you haven't noticed already. That isn't happening again. So I recorded all the way up to like day 6 or something, and even if this crap out didn't happen, that video is still not happening because thing is, what I've learned. Here's what I've learned. Talking about 31 movies in the same intrigue as the last is not very easy, because some of them are like Eraserhead, where I don't have a lot to say other than that shit was weird. Man, what a weird movie. And that's the first list I haven't completed. I've completed all 3 of my other lists in the past, but this month decided to be very busy. So needless to say, I am pivoting, but not too far from the list, because the 2 movies I'm discussing today were from the last day on the list, and I'll walk you through it. I had They Look Like People to make up, so the first half of the day was watching that. The one for that night was supposed to be Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead, because we scrolled through Tubi, and I was like, that is the dumbest name ever, we're watching that. I thought about it, and remembered, oh right, I don't really like bathroom humor. And this movie is definitely going to have a lot of bathroom humor. So that's going to suck. It wasn't humor. We'll get to that. Which brings us to today, where we will talk about both of those movies. Transition. So due to my phone being the recording device, I can't entirely read off the synopsis without missing something, so I apologize if I do. So our main character for this movie is a man named Wyatt. He's passing through a town, I don't know, trying to find somewhere to stay for a bit. So then we're introduced to another main character, Christian, and he's going to work, trying to figure out a way to ask out his boss. He's got a lot of things on his plate, I suppose. And then the 2 bump into each other, and apparently they've known each other for many years, and they're like, yo, no way! Wyatt's trying to just pass through town, but obviously Christian's like, no man, we can hang out, you can pass out in my place for a few days. So they pretty much catch up on life, and then they do this double date that goes wrong, and we're introduced to Mara, who is supposed to be Wyatt's date. And I think Mara is Christian's boss. Pretty sure. From the context of the movie. Then Christian goes to work, has a day at work, and then he just tells Wyatt to chill at home. Except Wyatt is not chilling at home, he is preparing for the inevitable. That's right, an apocalypse is coming for his ass, and he's really trying to prepare based off of what the person on the phone is saying to him. His nightmares are getting worse, he's imagining people that he's known to not be people, so they look like people! I tried to make the reference! Wyatt goes to a doctor about every week to go see him about his schizophrenia. At some point the voice reveals that it's Mara that's actually calling him all the time. And she warns Wyatt that 3 thunderclaps in a clear sky will signify the start of a war against the apocalypse that nobody else but Mara and Wyatt talk about the entire movie, so it kind of is giving you a little hint of what the apocalypse actually is. Then he's trying to tell Christian the apocalypse going on because he's worried he can't protect him, so he's trying to get him to protect himself, and so he's trying to get him to man up. Yeah! But then that gets interrupted the day that Mara actually fired Christian from his job because they're cutting down his department. She feels bad about the whole thing, so she comes to hang out with them. So then Wyatt and Mara are alone, and he's, he knows that she's the one on the phone, and she's, like, talking about this thing where she hears, like, choirs where nobody's choiring, and so he's like, oh, she's, like, this is definitely a thing. He's like, hey, let's go see the basement, just check shit out. And she's like, okay. Alright, yeah, sure, let's go to your basement. That sounds like you're not trying to kidnap me or anything. Just realized you could see my real hair. Sorry about that. So he's talking to her about the creatures. Like, hey, so they're, about the apocalypse. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What should I do for it, yeah? And she's like, I'm gonna leave now. And he's like, wait. So out on the town, he actually runs into Mara, and he's like, hey, wait, like, I'm sorry. And then she kicks his ass and helps him, and then he sees that she's one of them, and he's like, aw, shit. Now, Wyatt is, like, really going apocalypse mode, and, like, he's kind of getting Christian into it as well, but Christian's still kind of confused. and they're running out to the car to escape until he hears the 1, 2, 3 of the clapping of the sky. And he's like, oh fuck, get back in the house. And Wyatt's like, I'm explaining everything to you. That buzzing is back. Oh god, I think you're one of them. And Christian is entirely chill about it, which is like, wow. That is my favorite part about this movie, and I will talk about it in a sec. Christian's all tied up in a chair and everything, and Wyatt is like pondering killing him. He thinks he sees him turning, and then he's like, it's not real. And then it's not real. And he doesn't kill Christian, and they embrace. And that's the movie. So I would think, boys, generally it's about dealing with alcoholism, schizophrenia, and finding support groups to, people that understand what you're going through. So here are my pros for They Look Like People. It's a really fast watch. This movie is only an hour and 19 minutes. That's not long. And there's usually a lot of logos in these movies, but there was one. That is rare, which pretty much tells you that this is an indie movie, but whatever. You're not entirely blindsided by the twist. So, the twist is kind of predictable. I think the concept in general really works. I like using horror for, an artistic form of talking about suffering. But, with movies like Talk to Me, it's it just didn't do it well. I would rant about Talk to Me, but that's not what this video's about, so I'm not gonna. You can't make me. The ending was pretty much my highlight of the movie. I liked that trust was the make or break between the apocalypse actually happening and Wyatt convincing himself over his friend just trying to let himself know this is not happening. If you want to save your friend, you gotta tell yourself this is not happening. I love their bond in general in the movie. They are just, it's pretty much how close friends kind of grow together. You become distant for a little bit. It sounds like they spent years apart, but I think it was really heartwarming watching them do the things they used to do and still having fun doing it and still being there for each other, even though anybody else in Christian's position would have just been like, oh, you're crazy, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm just gonna send you to a mental hospital or whatever. There's a lot of shitty friends depicted in horror, and I think that Christian especially is a really good breath of fresh air. They bond over these two things that, in a sense, warp their reality. Wyatt's is more obvious because you're following his story, you're following the fact that he has schizophrenia, he's imagining things that aren't there, but they feel real, and he's trapped in this warped reality, and he can't get out because nobody else is helping him. Christian realizes that he knows what he's going through. He's also dealing with his alcoholism, which causes suicidal thoughts. At many times, you see him almost give in to his, intrusive thoughts, thinking about, I should just, light my finger on fire with this candle. If this movie was more like Talk to Me, where there is no support group or anything, this movie would not have worked. But the way that they help each other, not just, Wyatt helps him or Christian helps him, they both are there for each other during their journey. Wyatt says he's going to leave, and keeps wanting to leave, but he sticks around because he wants to make sure that Christian can handle himself. He wants to make sure that he's able to defend himself when this apocalypse comes. I love their friendship. It's so beautiful. And it's so beautiful that I almost thought it was gay-coded. So yeah, I don't care if they are actually gay-coded or if it's just a comfy best friend situation. It's lovely. What I liked is the great directory of the movie. Every horror aspect of it was tense and dark, and it was yum. Especially those nightmares. God, they got me every time because I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? And the thing is, it never jump scares you, from what I remember, which is fun. I like that. I don't like being jump scared, even though my favorite thing is that, but whatever. When you're playing that, you're gonna expect to get jump scared at this point in time, but in movies, it sucks, because sometimes they literally come out of nowhere. It's just someone walks into frame, and that's a jump scare? Are you serious? That's lame. In those nightmares, they could have just done that, but they didn't. And that made it so much better, because it was quiet, and uncomfortable. I would say my only gripe is that you can pretty much tell that it's something that's in his head if you are paying attention to the outside world. If you're just paying attention to the three of them, then you have no problem not thinking it's in his head. You know, you are immersed in his reality when you're focusing on him. But when you're like me and you're like, wow, this is a very quiet apocalypse, I feel like we would have noticed it by now. And that kind of, with the schizophrenia, I was like, oh, is this like this all up in there, you know? Even though I didn't note it as such. But I just wanted to make sure I was following it the way that it wanted me to follow it. Once you realize nobody else is talking about it, it's like, oh, this is in his head. No other complaints. It's just such a lovely little horror movie. And that is the one out of the two that I recommend very comfortably. This next one, I don't recommend if you are a normal person and just want to watch a normal horror movie. This is not what that is. Transition? This one's gonna be rough. So let's start from the beginning, which is a relatively normal beginning. You are opened up with a doctor and his daughter. Actually, it's not that normal. I thought about it for a second. The conflict of the movie is that there is a parasite going around. We see a bit of a flashback to the past where somebody named Ai is getting her ass kicked by a bunch of teenage girls. Into the future, you hear that Ai killed herself through the words of her sister Megumi, who is the main protagonist of the film. I don't know why that was such a hard concept. She is on a camping trip with a bunch of people. She was invited by Aya. She also had a dude named Naui come with. And the other two people in the group are Tak and Maki. The first words to come out of her mouth after leaving the car was that she was going to go catch some trout because they eat tapeworms, and she was going to eat the tapeworms to make herself skinny. Okay, at some point, Tak gets his finger chopped off by a zombie. So they start wandering through the woods to try to find someone to come help them because their van got stolen. Along the way, Maki gets a stomach ache and she's like, alright, I'm gonna go use the restroom. And here's what I wrote for this scene. Okay, I'm regretting my choices. God damn it. I'm stuck. My decision. Okay, Tak, now you go. And essentially, she finds a zombie in there. I'm not gonna describe shit to you. She finds a zombie, it goes bad, she becomes infected with whatever it is, and she slowly kind of dies because a bunch of other zombies come from the same stall somehow. The group's like, shit, we gotta bounce. The rest of them hide out in, some scientist guy's spot. I don't really know who this was, and then you know, the doctor from the beginning comes and finds them, and basically is going to be like the, oh, I'm going to explain the infection to you type guy. First quote of the day is, this is without a doubt crazy, and I just imagined the nerd emoji for that one. Skipped a few things here. During this hiding out scene, a bunch of zombies come in. And now he eats the eyeball of a scientist that killed himself. I kill someone with her butt, and she says, I killed him with my butt. Anyway, now we're at the doctor's spot. Here's where we learn that Ai killed herself, and it was over flatulence. You know what movie you're watching. Megumi sneaks in and sees what the doctor was doing with his daughter, and she's like, what the fuck is happening here? And he basically made a pact with the parasite, using the village that they were just in as the hosts, so they can, you know, eat all the people that come to the town. He just lets the parasites be in his daughter, and that's gross as hell to say. They can fight off the white blood cells, or make them. I don't remember. I'm not very good at health things. And it basically fights off her leukemia. Sure, why not? The obvious trope of, oh, the bad people that just housed us put shit in our food. They put in the parasite eggs in their food, and now they're all infected with the egg. Gross. They escape the doctor's spot, and they're out in the wild now. But then Megumi remembers, oh, he's got medicine, I'll be right back. And now we just have to, like, defend themselves. That produces quite a few good quotes here. There's teeth from the butt of a beautiful girl, and that butt ate my bat. It's great stuff. Now he sacrifices himself so Aya can go girl boss somewhere else, but she doesn't make it that far because Maki is apparently still kind of alive because a parasite took over her body. It's not just any parasite, actually. It's the queen parasite. And she says, I'm gonna get parasitic on your ass. I'm sure you will. Here's what I said. Aya is dying, I think. I can't see past all the tentacle prawn. Megumi gets there in too short of time. Aya's already dying, and so she's getting taken over by Maki / Parasite Queen, and she's like, just kill me. So Megumi kills her. Maki and Sachi, the doctor's daughter, chase after Megumi. There we go, that's the name. And it's very silly because apparently the queen can fly. So good for her. So their plan is to just fly her all the way up to the sky and drop her, because it's not like she can fly, right? Well, think again, losers, because she reminisces about Ai, and she turns on her flatulence jetpack. And they do like a big ol' superhero fight, and she kills them both, says stupid worm bitch, and that's the end of the parasite, I think. I think it's like a, if you kill the host, the rest of the parasite dies situation. And she finally finds the van that the doctor stole from them, and the doctor's just chilling in the van and is like, hey, you can replace my daughter, and she kicks his ass, the end. I hope I made that so consumable, because it is like 5 times worse than I'm actually describing it. I left out so much for you. First of all, I wrote these cursed notes on a Toriel stationery set, so I hope you are happy. This one's a lot more divided with the pros and cons, and I'm gonna say it right now, most of the pros come from Megumi. I'm gonna show you my highlight list for Megumi. This is what she does in the movie. She practices karate in memory of her sister who killed herself over social pressure, which is, you know, that's a damn good cause to be fighting for. She flattens a pedophile's balls. Yeah, apparently Tech ended up being a pedophile, but it's okay, because he can't reproduce anymore. He got attacked by the zombie with the finger thing, and she kicked the zombie so hard in the head that it snapped his neck. And when they're in the scientist's place, she cut a guy in half for Aya. Later on, she comforted Aya while they were naked getting into the shower. I don't want to deep dive into that too much. I don't know how old either of them were. This movie is so B-movie that there isn't even like an article of like, you know, Megumi's 17 years old or some shit. I just hope it was like a bestie thing. You know, people change in front of each other all the time. I don't know. When the doctor is like turning on them when they find out what the daughter is doing with him, she literally dodges the bullets from his gun-ass gun to kick his ass, and she does, and it's like, how? Karate does not teach you to... No way. If it does, I'm gonna take karate. And just like with the power of a hallucination, she just decides to possess the power to fly. That's insane. And she's the one that ends the parasite at the source. The entire movie, she literally kicked everyone but Aya and Naoi's ass. Like, she did not leave a stone unturned. I admire how serious of a character Megumi is. That is an actual struggle. A lot of girls, when they're growing up, they learn to be, like, ashamed of their bodies. When we grow up, we're not entirely held by the same standards boys and men are, although, you know, there's obvious exceptions. The world isn't just one big, like, black and white gender problem. It is a very common thing for girls to grow up and feel like they can't use the bathroom because they're not supposed to. They're girls, they're all prim and proper and, you know, not gross like them boys. When you're growing up, sometimes people feel like they can tell you that sort of thing, even though it's like, if you don't, you die? Question mark? There's probably a lot of girls that grow up in that culture and then think it's okay to, you know, go at other girls at their school for that sort of thing. So Megumi fighting for that cause and that movie being... And it's so weird that it's coming from this movie. I can't tell whether to be confused or to be applauding it. I have such a conflicted relationship with this movie. And you know what? I can't say this movie was ever boring. Maybe in the camping trip? But, like, besides that, this movie starts and it goes. You don't get to breathe. However, most of the cast, I did not like most of the characters. I pretty much was just in it for Aya and Megumi, and only one of them lives, so, I mean, So the obvious flaw is that there's a lot of fetish stuff in it, and it makes it really hard to watch it with other people. It goes on for a while. I think the first scene where the group was facing the parasite, which was Maki going to the restroom, I think that one just went way too long. When you're not into that sort of thing, it's really fucking awkward because you're just sitting there like, okay, can we move on? So if you're not into any of the fetish stuff, you're not gonna like this movie, like, at all. That is what it, and I don't like it either, but, like, the rest of the part of the movies that I've been complimenting, that's what I liked from it. And, like, the emotional points, like I mentioned, I do really like them, but it's a really weird movie to put them in because the rest of the movie is either fetish or goof. You know what? I'm really curious what it was like to film this movie. If any of the actors are watching, which I don't think they are, but, like, I would like to know, what was it like knowing that is on your actor credit and people can watch that movie and go, well, I don't know what convinced you to act in that, but okay. My final con is that it's hard to recommend to people. It's going to be, it's not only is it like a horror movie, which are already kind of hard to suggest anyway because horror isn't a very easy genre to watch. You kind of have to find the right movie for the right person. It's hard to know what will freak somebody out. And there are a lot of horror movies that are softer on the eyes. Adding in the fetish stuff and adding in all the weird choices that occurred in this movie, it is a really hard one to work in. If you can live if you can survive this movie and you just want to watch some dumb fucking movie with a really good main character, okay. I will say it, you can do it. If you are not, this video was just to show you what the experience with making a movie list for Halloween was like. And you can tell with these movies that they are the extremes of this range. But while I didn't end up finishing this year's list, I would like to show off all the movies that I really liked, that I totally recommend. They were really good, solid, what have you. Just, that was a good one. Watch it. Here's all the ones that I could not tell you for the life of me what happened in this one. I've already forgotten them. They were mediocre, whatever. Just not super offensive, not super cool. Here's all the ones that I just will never touch ever again. Never again. This is not happening. But this list was fun, even though I didn't finish it or anything. And I hope to do one next year and not be super busy during it. I'm sorry for disappearing for 3 months now, but I wanted to get something out for October, and September didn't end up working out, so this is when it's coming out, so sorry about that. But again, if you know any other AUs I should check out, let me know. I would love to cover them. I hope you all have a very safe Halloween. Please, watch out for each other, check out your candy, make sure it's good, and, go out and slay. Not people, just you.